This is the Anything Goes Project video stream. Please be patient, the show will begin momentarily. Remember, the show can be reached via email at stalkermailbox@gmail.com, or simply call in and leave us a voicemail at 361-433-5739. If you like the show, please subscribe and leave us a rating. This helps the show to be seen. More video streams can be found on the Anything Goes Project YouTube channel. To help the show, subscribe and like the channel. The Anything Goes Project can be found on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Castbox, Stitcher Radio, or anywhere you get your podcast media from. You're listening to the Anything Goes Project. Interesting topics, interesting things, real stories by real people. Your host is Mike. The Anything Goes Project is a production of M&C Designs. Be advised, this show may not be suitable for all ages. Many of the topics are for mature audiences only. The explicit tag is there for a reason. If you would like to contact the show, email us at stalkermailbox@gmail.com, or leave us a message at 361-433-5739. And now, on with the show.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mike with the Anything Goes Project. Tonight, this is your After Dark episode, and I have a special guest with me, Marie D. Jones. She is a best-selling author of nonfiction, fiction, and a screenwriter, producer of her own company, the Where's Lucy Productions. She has appeared on television and on radio all over the world and has hundreds of credits writing for magazines, guest blogs, reviews, short stories, online articles, and gift books. She has lectured widely on paranormal, unknown anomalies, cutting-edge science, metaphysics, and human consciousness. And the best thing about this is I've known her for about 10 years, so I've had the privilege of getting to know her and to become friends with her. And hey, you know what, guys? This is going to be an awesome show. Grab you a bag of Lay's potato chips and a glass of red wine, and let's bring this in. Marie.
How did you know that was like my favorite meal? Oh my God, Lay's potato chips and red wine. I think that's going to be.
We've known each other. I think I would know this.
Yeah, that would be my last meal. Although if I were on death row, that would be it. But I would also want Baskin Robbins peanut butter and chocolate ice cream to top it off with. And
some Totino's
pizza
rolls.
That would do it.
Yep, Totino's pizza rolls too.
Maybe a steak.
And now if we're going out in style.
If I'm going to drop dead, might as well add on to it. You know?
A bag of Lay's potato chips, a glass of red wine, and what else would you like? A lobster?
Yeah, exactly. Special order. You got to go get it out off the coast of Maine for me.
Oh man, that would be the last meal order. Well, how are you doing?
I'm tired.
It seems like forever since the last time we spoke.
Good. Oh my God, I can't believe how fast this year is going by. I feel like the laundry list of things I made in January that I wanted to get done, I don't know. Some of them ain't going to happen. I mean, I'm good. I have really nothing to complain about except the quick passage of time.
Well, you also have a really full schedule with your writing and the screenwriting and the movie stuff or the TV stuff that's going on. I mean, I'm constantly chatting with you online, and it's like you've always got something going on. And it's like, when do you have time to be a mom?
Well, you know, now my son is 18. Actually, Monday he starts college.
Oh, and tell him congratulations on the new car.
Oh, I know. I love it. He got such a nice car. Just in time, too, because Monday he starts classes, and he goes 4 days a week, and he has one online class. So we really needed to get that taken care of, and I was kind of thinking it was going to take a lot longer than it did. But yeah. So, you know, people are always saying, why are you always doing so much? You know, right now. I'm not dating anybody right now. Why not? when my son was younger and he needed all of my time and attention, I still had to work. I still had to write the books that I was commissioned to write. That was my livelihood. But he came first. And because he was always in and out of hospitals and doctors' offices and
Oh,
stuff.
I remember all that.
Yeah, that was my focus. Now that he's self-sufficient and, well, as much as an 18-year-old can be, and he's got a car and he's driving and all that good stuff, it's like I just am one of those people. Ever since I was little, I just wanted to do as much as I could, like super ambitious and super driven. The only thing that I'm starting to realize now is how tired I'm getting. And so, I know. So really, next year I plan to make some changes and slow down the nonfiction and let because see, people don't understand when you write a nonfiction book how exhausting.
So much research.
It's exhausting, and they say, "Oh, all you do is sit." Look, your brain is the research, months and months and months, and then the actual writing, and then the editing, and then the promoting. And I believe, Celebrity Ghosts and Hauntings is my 23rd.
I was going to ask you how many now.
And then I have one I'm writing now and 2 for next year. And or I talked to somebody about my books, and I don't remember what I wrote in any of the previous 20 books. I think your brain can only hold so much material.
Yeah.
Then it really starts to get exhausting. So that I'm going to slow down. Independent filmmaking is taking off, which is something I did not know I was going to be doing even a year ago, practically.
Do you have anything slated for television yet?
So I've got, I have an agent and a manager, and I have projects that are being sent out the traditional quote unquote way. And because it takes so long and the chances are so slim and there's so much rejection and disappointment, I just really felt like, kind of with book writing and novel writing, it's like, you know what? If the traditional places are going to make you wait 5 years, screw it. I'm going to do it myself.
Yep.
And even musicians now have independent music. They can make their own CDs. They don't have to wait for some record company to sign them.
Yeah. Well, and with how I did it, I'm an indie author. I didn't go the traditional route.
Yeah. Why bother? Well, I know that there's people that like to do that. It's got a certain prestige. And I do think for nonfiction, it helps because you have a company that will vet your material and make sure it's all legally cool and stuff. Yes. But for fiction, oh hell, I think just to have that kind of control over your work is the ultimate.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping next year to phase the nonfiction down and possibly almost to the point where maybe I'm just doing one book a year. Yeah. And then bring the other stuff into the forefront because that's the really fun stuff.
Yeah, and speaking of nonfiction, okay, I know you and Max worked on Echo together. That's
actually fiction.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's what I meant. Sorry, fiction.
Okay. Well, it is nonfiction in the sense that a lot of it did actually happen. But yeah, you're right.
I meant fiction. Sorry, that was a blurb. But yeah, and my kids thoroughly enjoyed that book.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad to hear that.
Well, I remember when it came out, I sent you a picture. I was at Hastings before they went bankrupt. I was at Hastings in Victoria, and I remember I sent you a picture from Hastings, and your book was there on the shelf, and I went, "Hey, here's your book here in South Texas."
Oh, Echo. That's Hastings, Texas. Wow, because that sounds like you were in England.
Oh, no. Hastings was the store.
Oh, that's right. Oh, they did close.
Yeah, they went bankrupt.
Okay.
Yeah, they went bankrupt, and I got stuck with $50 worth of gift cards that I couldn't use.
Oh, that sucks. Yeah, that's sad. That's happening to a lot of these well, even Barnes and Noble, even the bigger bookstores. I don't have one near me. I don't have a bookstore within maybe 10 miles.
I don't
But
think we
Echo
have
is
one anymore.
that's my baby. And so Echo went through a tragedy in that it was years ago traditionally published with a company that absolutely loved it, who were then very bought out by a bigger company who just backlisted it. They just really didn't care. And my manager helped me get the rights back, and I ended up putting it out myself. And you know the struggle when you put something out yourself is you also have to market it.
Yes.
But the funny thing is that everybody that read it loved it, and so we did book 2, and we have to carry through. You know, we're working on. I'm actually working on it on book 3, which will, I think, end the story. But that's my baby, and I really wish that things had worked out differently. But you know, that's the way it goes. And I think writers they have to have more than one thing
Oh yeah,
in
absolutely.
their wheelhouse. You know, I know writers that put their whole lives on one project, and then when it doesn't perform the way that they want it to, they're absolutely heartbroken.
Hmm.
So I got a million things.
I'm the same
If
way. I've got.
don't go.
I open up Scrivener, and it's like, all right, what am I going to work on today? So
You use Scrivener? Do you like it? I've never used it.
I love it. Absolutely
Everybody
love it.
raves about it.
I started using it because I got some friends that are also indie authors, and they ended up starting their own publishing house, and
Oh, cool.
they had a podcast out for a while that was called Self Publishing Podcast, and I would get on. We'd get on into the Google Hangouts. I got on one day with them, and because I was in the process of writing those books before I got them self-published, or I did my self-publishing, and they were giving the tips on it there, and they were the ones that actually turned me on to Scrivener, and I absolutely love the program. It's $40, and you get a lifetime membership.
So what does it do that's so great? 'Cause honestly, people rave about it, and I'm just a Microsoft Word. Like for
Okay,
scripts, I use Final Draft, but I'm just so.
okay. Let's say you're doing a screenplay.
Uh
When you
huh.
open it up and you're starting your new project, it asks you, what are you doing? Are you doing a novella? Are you doing a novel? Are you doing a short story? Are you doing a screenplay? Whatever. And you hit
Right.
screenplay, and boom, it automatically sets up your system,
So it formats it for you.
formats everything the way you need it. But with Scrivener, you can put all your notes in there. You can load everything that you're using to write whatever it is you're doing. You can be in the middle of writing and be like, oh crap, I forgot this note, but you can just look off to the side of the screen and all your notes are on the side. And you just click on it,
Oh, that would be nice.
opens up, and it's a really great program. Uh, I thought you used it.
No, and it's funny because I'm so old school. When I first started writing eons ago, it took me forever to go from writing on a yellow pad, the lined pad, to at the time typewriters and then word processors.
Hmm.
And then um, I used to, even more recently, I used to only be able to write like a first draft on by hand, and then I would have to type it all in. I resisted the computer for so long
Mm,
until I anymore. And now, of course, there's no other way. But I'm still get really resistant with how I do things. So
yeah.
like Microsoft Word, I'm kind of an idiot too when it comes to technology and all this stuff. Like I don't even know how to use all the different macros and things in Microsoft Word.
Yeah.
I just do the basics, and Final Draft is rather intuitive. And I want a free copy, so I thought, oh, the hell, hell, I'll use that. But everybody I know is Scrivener, 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 and also people that I know who do independent publishing, self-published. They like to use, I think it's Vellum,
Yeah.
because it formats their books for them.
So does Scrivener.
It does. So it's like then you just send it to Amazon or whatever, and it's
Yeah,
a done
it's actually
deal.
got when you get ready to compile it and put it all to when it puts it all together, puts all the chapters where they're supposed to be and stuff. It's actually
Yeah.
got a format version, and it asks you. And what I like about it is because it keeps up to date with the new tablets and stuff and the reading implements that are coming out. Because it'll actually ask you, "Are you formatting this for a Kindle Fire? Are you in other words, to go
Oh
to?"
wow, are you serious? And it's only $40. Oh, I'm gonna buy it
Yeah,
because for
it's really super simple to use. I love the program and the tutorial that it has. It has a built-in tutorial.
yeah,
Shows you how to use the whole
for
thing.
dummies.
Yeah, and it only took me about an hour and a half to figure out how to use it.
Wow, I like that because using Microsoft Word, obviously, I have to pay somebody, and I always end up hiring somebody on Fiverr to do my formatting. Sometimes you get really lucky, and you
Hmm.
find somebody who's fairly cheap, and they do a great job. But I've had some you know
Some good
issues
and
where we
some
go
bad.
on and on. Okay, cool. That is awesome. Okay, I think I might cave in and actually do
Yeah, you
it.
just go to I believe it's Literature and Latte is their website.
Oh, really? How funny! I
Yeah,
like that name.
Literature and Latte, and then you can type in Literature and Latte and Scrivener. It'll take you straight to the download link. It's $40 for a lifetime membership with it, and you get tech
Oh,
support.
for heaven's sakes. That's nothing.
Yeah, and
Jeez, I said
that's
happy hour.
the program
You
was
didn't hear me.
designed by writers for writers.
Four writers.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. So now that we've talked about writing,
Well, let's jump
people are
into
like,
your
"What?"
newest book. This is exciting because you posted something the other day. I got my author's copies in. Celebrity Ghosts and Notorious Hauntings. You know I like that kind of stuff. As a matter of fact, if you're watching me on video, if you happen to see that Ouija board planchette behind me move, let me know.
Oh, I saw something walk across the deck. No, I'm just kidding.
I've got a motion camera on it. I've had a motion camera on it for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I did
Seriously,
that experiment.
it's always going to be when you're not looking.
Well, that's why I've got the motion camera on it because I had a couple of people that actually wrote in to me after I did that experiment, and I read one of them on the show. He said he tried to watch that experiment I did. You remember when I did it? What was it, 2 weeks ago on Facebook Live? And
Yeah.
he said his computer completely crashed, and he could not. It took almost an hour to get it back up and going. And he said the entire time he was
No.
trying to get it up and going, he was hearing strange noises in his apartment.
Oh, great.
So he wrote me in an email and said, "Please tell me you closed down that session because I can't get my computer restarted."
Isn't that creepy?
Yeah,
I've heard of that happening. It's almost like a contagion,
yeah.
you know?
Nothing
I
happened
remember
here.
yeah, I was writing the one of the last books I did, Demons, the Devil, and Fallen Angels, which was really kind of a scary book to write, even though it was very research intensive and very interesting. But people kept saying to me, Rosemary Ellen Guiley was one of the people who warned me, and she
Yes,
just passed recently, sadly. But she
yes, I
said,
know.
careful. So be careful, uh, with that kind of material that you um,
Oh, she warned
protect
me too
yourself.
about some of the stuff I write about.
Yeah, and that scared the crap out of me because I look up to her. A couple of people like that, David Weatherly, a couple of people that I really respect. And, I didn't laugh about it. I took it very seriously. Fortunately, nothing happened, except for a lot of technical glitches. And I thought that was kind of amusing, like the spirits and the wires. But, the same thing with this book, even though this book was a little more fun.
Yeah, because you're
I
getting
mean,
to delve into some of these celebrity type uh, stories that you're hearing.
oh my God, let me tell you. So this was actually, I have to be honest, this was the idea of my publisher, Visible Ink. And Roger at Visible Ink, he's the coolest guy, the coolest publisher in the world. And so he and I will go back and forth with ideas, how about this or maybe this? And he said, what about something with celebrity ghosts? I thought, oh, that'll be really fun. And I thought, well, I won't just do celebrity ghosts that people have seen, but celebrities that have seen ghosts. So as I'm compiling all the research, though, I'm thinking, well, the word celebrity doesn't just have to be applied to a person. There are locations that are kind of celebrities in their own right that are spooky and haunted and notorious. And there were so many of them. So yeah, he said, yeah, go for it. And there's so much stuff in here that is just mind blowing. The usual suspects that you hear about all the time, but then there's just so many things that I had never, ever heard of before.
Did you actually get to go to some of these locations while you're doing this?
Oh, hell no. I'm such a chicken. Oh my God. I am the biggest chicken on the planet.
All right. So I'll tell you what, my wife and I, when we take a vacation, we were planning on heading down to the California area on one of our vacations. We're going to have to grab you and we're going to go to the Queen Mary.
Oh, I have been on the Queen Mary twice. Okay. I actually spoke at 2 different conferences and I love the Queen Mary. But also, I remember it was about 2 o'clock in the morning and I was walking down the long, very skinny, almost claustrophobic hallway to my room. And I was like, oh my God, just, this place is scary. And I got in my room and I remember I couldn't really go to sleep because I was afraid I was going to see a ghost. And nothing really happened. But you do feel, it's very atmospheric. You do feel energy. And we went down, like I did a ghost investigation. While I was there, we went down into the cargo hold and the engine room and all that. And I didn't experience anything, even in the pool room.
Where you're supposed to have the little girl.
Yeah, but that's par for the course for me because the several investigations that I have been on, I've never experienced anything. Where I have experienced things are places that I went to that I didn't know till later they were haunted. The Hotel Del, when I was really young, we moved out to California from New York. We went to the Hotel Del. This was a long time ago. And, my family, we went on the tour that they had. And there was a part that was cordoned off that they were doing construction. And I remember just getting this feeling of repulsion. Like as I walked towards the kind of a dark hallway and they had the caution tape. Yeah. And I just sick to my stomach. And so I kind of like recoiled. And I remember the woman who was doing the tour saying, that section is being under reconstruction, but that's one of our most haunted parts of the whole hotel. And I'm like, oh, right. And that has happened a few times where I was living in LA and I went to a couple of really big parties at these mansions that I didn't know until later had reputations as being haunted. But when I went into a specific room, I couldn't even go in. And then they would later say, don't put your purse in there. That we keep that room off limits. Somebody was murdered in there. So I guess I'm really good at energy sensing. But it's like when I don't know that I should. You know what I mean? Like if I know, maybe I'd go into skeptic mode or something.
Yeah. And see, that's my problem. Well, you've known me for 10 years. I mean, I'm quite skeptical about a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I'm the guy that gets invited to these investigations because I'm going to be skeptical about it. However, I catch things here and there. I've never been the one that's got the scratches or something. I've been pushed. I've seen things that I can't explain, but some of these people that have had like these intense interactions and stuff, getting scratched and bitten and stuff like that, I've never had that happen to me. And
well, you should be glad you've been bitten.
But I enjoy going to these things because it's kind of like how you are too. At the same time, I want to know. We need to find information about it. So that's why I need to get you and bring you down here to that place where I sent you the video of.
I would go if it was with a group of people. So when I first moved to the area that I live in now, and there is a urban legend called the White Lady in the Elk Forest near me, and it's a pretty famous urban legend. And I stupidly decided to drive down what was at that time a dirt road into the forest to just, It was broad daylight, clear, not a cloud in the sky, typical San Diego weather. I get in the woods, and this was quite a while ago because now it's all built up in its homes, and
Yeah.
they really it just kind of ruined the place. But as you go further in, there's still woodland. Excuse me. So anyway, I'm driving through, and my car suddenly stalls out just for no reason, and it starts pouring. Okay, there was not a cloud in the sky when I drove into the Elfin Forest. I'm sitting there, it's pouring only on my car and the area like right around me. I can't get my car going. It's like going, when it's wet
Yeah.
and muddy. There's a log down just up ahead. I was crying. I was in a panic. I knew that white lady was going to come and kill. I just knew she's coming for me. That's it. I'm an idiot. I should have told somebody where I was going. Anyway, it ended just as quickly as it started. My car was fine. I turned it around, got the hell out of there. And as I'm coming out of the woods back into, broad daylight, there's not a cloud to be seen. But my car is dripping wet. So those are the types of things that happen to me. Then what happens is I go home and I justify them as being something else because they weren't direct enough. Like, had I seen the white lady come to my car, I would be able to say, well, I had a direct experience. But I didn't. It was a freakish thing.
It was a weather anomaly.
It was an anomaly. Would scare the living crap out of me. So, and I've had that with some UFO related things too. Like when I was 15, my best friend, her family was Lutheran. They had a poltergeist, and it was not a joke. They were terrorized by this thing that would throw like clothespins down the hall, and it would trip the grandmother. And they had all kinds of antiques and stuff that they thought maybe the poltergeist was associated with. But I was totally into the occult and stuff when I was a teenager, and I said, no, it's usually a person.
Yeah.
And so my friend was my age, but she had a 17-year-old sister who was like going through all the hormonal stuff, and was always angry and fighting with the parents. And the activity would only happen when she was around. So I would never go stay at my friend's house overnight. I said, no way in hell. But one night she talked me into it. I felt really bad. I said, oh God, all right. I would not sleep. I had to go to the bathroom so bad, but I would not get out of bed and go into the hall to use the bathroom. I was terrified. Nothing happened though all night. Everything was fine. The next morning, she and I were sitting in the living room watching TV, and I felt the weirdest, strangest, cold wind blow through every cell of my body, like chill, and my hair is standing on end. And she says, did you feel it? And I'm thinking, okay, there's no windows open, there's not no doors open, it's not a draft. And it didn't feel like that. And she said that's that was the whatever entity, whatever the hell. They moved after that. A new family moved in, and they destroyed the house. They razed it to the ground and rebuilt it. So they might have had some activity too. But that's another example of, was that a paranormal experience? It felt weird, but somebody could just say, no, there might have been a door open and you felt a draft and you were already anxious and nervous. That's the kind of,
it could have been that about what time it happened. Sun's going down, temperature variances outside, cause a vacuum in the inside of the house, pulls a little bit of a draft through. I mean, I fully got you.
But see, my father was a scientist, so I kind of grew up as, skeptical. And the funny thing is he totally believed that paranormal phenomena existed. He was a UFO fanatic, but he came from the position of course, there's a possibility that all this exists. Scientifically, we just haven't been able to explain it yet. But he still, kind of taught me that your first explanation should never be the wildest one, right?
Right.
I mean, like in that situation where a breeze blows across me, if I were to do what a lot of people do and say, "Oh my God, yeah, oh yeah, that was a ghost," that's like the most outlandish explanation. Save that for last.
Mm-hmm.
Very well could be that's what it was, but go through A, B, C, D, and E first to try to, figure out if it could have been something else entirely.
Well, yeah, you wrote a book on how the mind works. I mean, the mind is fascinating how it can take our environment around us and just build stuff in our mind's eye that other people can't see, like the pareidolia effect. You look at a picture,
Yeah.
you see a human face there. It's lens flare. And everybody else sees it. No, it's just light shining through, and this. But your mind sees it, and it's because that's the way we as human beings are wired. Because that was a survival instinct for us when we were on the plains of the savannah. We had
Yeah.
we had to attribute that limb, that branch over there is rustling right now. It's either
Because there's a cheetah.
it's either the wind or something's about to eat me.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. And
Speaking
I
of
also
Rosemary Ellen Guiley's book, I started rereading some of her stuff after she passed away. I was
yeah.
going to try to get her on the show after all these Paracons were over, and that just hit everybody like really fast.
That was just unreal.
Yeah,
Jeez.
and so I started rereading her books on ghosts, the Ghosts and Spirits, the Encyclopedia of Ghosts and Spirits, and I just remember because it was just the other day I read it. Her first chapter in it, where she starts talking about how the mind works, how some people may be consciously wired differently than other people to perceive these things that other people
Absolutely.
can't see.
I mean, doesn't that make sense? You're standing, like when I was on the Queen Mary and we were down in the pool room, I was with Dave Schrader. We were standing up above and he kind of tapped me on the back, and I was like, ah, but I knew it was him. But we were talking about how
goofy.
There are so many people that were down below at the pool level, screaming and yelling. They were seeing the ghost of the little girl and what was her name, Kathy or whatever, or whatever her name was, Jackie. And I don't see a thing. What's wrong with me?
Supposedly, even going through the history of the Queen Mary, there was never a Jackie.
There was no Jackie, yeah.
And that's what's weird about it.
Were those people so riled up that they actually saw what they wanted to see or what they expected to see? And here I come expecting to see nothing because I almost call myself a snotty skeptic because it's like, prove it, you saw something. Yeah, sure you did. But then at the same time, think about the fact that we have different brain chemical levels and hormonal levels, and we eat different things, we take different prescription medications, and how possibly all of that stuff that affects our physiology could be the difference between you and I sitting together in a room and you getting slapped by some invisible entity and me not. I mean, I feel like the paranormal community for such a long time did not even want to consider the fact that the human body, or that we as the observer too, because you have the observer effect, that we had anything to do with it, that it was all external, it was all happening externally. And I always felt like, no, maybe it isn't. I didn't really feel like it was all internal, but like maybe a combination of the two that allowed 5 people to go on a ghost hunt and 3 see a ghost and the other 2, for the life of them, see nothing.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Dave. I mean, Dave does these things all the time. He has experiences all the time. Tim never does. I think they were just actually talking about that the other day on their show.
Is that weird? What is it about Tim?
Yeah, Tim is like, I never experienced anything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I
think that's a great area of research right there to find out why. What are the differences between him and Dave? What they eat, what medications they're on, or. does one have more serotonin than the other, or just all those possibilities of blood types? I don't know. I mean, it sounds crazy, but it all could have something to do with why our individual consciousness and perception is a little bit different.
Yeah. And it could be also in the way you've trained your mind. I mean, you've trained your mind to look at things through a skeptical lens.
Yep. And Tim has trained his mind to be the one who never has anything happen to him. Hey, we just figured it out. We need to let them know.
I'll message him after we get done. I'll just tell
Tell
him.
him we figured out his dilemma.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. I mean, I think expectation has a huge part to do with that.
Yeah, and see, and that's why I kind of, whenever I do these investigations and stuff like that, I try to always just, okay, I'm going to be open-minded about it, but I'm still going to look at everything through the lens of skepticalness, because like
healthy skepticism.
Yeah, healthy skepticism. But I've been to locations where somebody would tell me, "Hey, this door keeps shutting. It's obviously something here. It keeps shutting this door on us." No, I have a level in my bag right here. Your door's not level.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
like
It
that.
could be a passing truck on the highway outside, you know?
Yeah.
You just don't know.
And like that night I did the Ouija board experiment. I know some of my listeners watched that. We heard all kinds of crap online. I had Facebook streaming it live, and I had earphones in, and I could hear all kinds of clicks and pops. At one point, one of my kids was listening to it too, and he was like, "Dad, I hear a woman in your office." I had other people on there, and they were messaging me going, "Hey, one guy didn't believe I wasn't in the office. He was like, FaceTime me right now." And so I did. He's like, "Where's your office?" So I showed him. I walked all the way over to the office, and I showed him doors locked. Nobody's in there. I said, "I've got 4 cameras on that, 3 audio recorders, and a motion detector." I said, "Nobody's in there." Yet we were hearing everything online, on Facebook. I pulled all the video footage. Not a damn thing. We didn't hear squat.
That's wild. That's wild. It's funny, like with EVP, I always feel like that you should be able to do EVP anywhere. It doesn't have to be a haunted location, because just about anywhere you go, there's going to be somebody died, or or somebody could be walking around who died. And I remember when I was working with Larry Flaxman, he once said, "I'm going to go do some EVP in my garage. Let's assume that the house that I lived in, it was a brand new house, but let's assume that there might have been an older house on this lot where somebody died." And I remember he said he went and did some EVP in his garage, and he got some really good, clear stuff.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't, but then we started to wonder, is it the voices of the dead? Is it his thoughts that are being projected somehow onto the tape?
Mm-hmm.
Is it, you know what I mean? Like when you go on a ghost hunt, you're doing EVP and you've got a room full of very excited, adrenaline rushed investigators. Is it possible that what is coming back on the digital recorder is an imprint of one of their thoughts?
Yeah.
Is it picking up just weird broadcasts in the air? Because I know I've experienced that once, where we could hear people talking on the highway. It wasn't CB, but it was like maybe ham radio. So there's all kinds of different things that you have to weed through. However, if it's a really creepy voice saying, I'm going to kill you, or get the hell out.
Or you just asked, "Hey, is there anybody here?" And it says, "Yes, get the hell out."
Yeah. Then you have then it makes sense that it's not just a random thing,
Yeah, and that's something else.
And I would never do it again.
That's something else I like to talk about. I know you've talked about this in a lot of your writings too, is present the evidence correctly. Don't bring presuppositions to the evidence. Let people look at it, and it's almost like peer reviewing your evidence, which is that video I sent you. You noticed I actually filmed the original, that camera that's actually sitting right behind me. I filmed that camera playing the footage off of the original tape. And it was still audible and it could be heard. And it was definitely a woman's voice.
Oh yeah, that was creepy. That was creepy. And I think it's good, like, if you don't tell me what it is.
That's why I didn't tell you.
This out, because I it always drives me nuts when you're on one of these ghost hunts and they're totally giving the entire history of the location, who died, how they died. They're leading these people to have an experience. They're setting them up for it.
But what's what they do, though, on a lot of these things
is not to tell them a damn thing.
Especially with EVPs. That's why I don't tell anybody. Like when I sent it to you, did I tell you what it was? I said, no. I said, Marie, check this out. You'll like it.
Right.
And then I get a message back from you a little while later. That was creepy as hell.
Well, it's like on those ghost hunting shows where they say, okay, now listen, you're going to hear the word, umbrella. Well, duh.
You just loaded it into my brain.
You've already put the seed in my head to hear umbrella. It's just like the Matrix scene, the pareidolia, but it's auditory. Yeah. Don't tell me what I'm going to hear. Let me see if I hear
biggest complaint. That literally is my biggest complaint about all of the paranormal community. Yeah. I belong to several of the paranormal Facebook groups and stuff, and I got in there the other day, and somebody got mad at me for lecturing them because somebody showed a picture, and they started immediately in their description telling you everything about this picture, where they were seeing, and I was like, no, please don't ever do that again. Just post a picture. Say, check this out, guys. See what you think.
Yeah. Don't even say what you're going to do. See anything or, let them
everybody
decide.
That responded back to her told her that they saw the exact same thing she did. I didn't even read her comments until after I looked at the picture because she had, the comments will be above the picture. I just went ahead and clicked on the picture and opened it up, and I went, what am I supposed to be looking for? Okay, I see a lady there holding a lobster, and there's steam coming off of the lobster. Okay, everybody saw a face in the steam except me.
Huh.
So, yeah.
Well, another thing, too, you bring up a really good point, is that if somebody were to point out the face to you, you would not be able to unsee it.
Yeah.
Right? So that image was there, and it wasn't until it was kind of pointed out to you that you had a little bit of a shift in perception, and now you see it. So wouldn't it be wild if our entire surrounding was filled with ghosts and spirits and entities, but they haven't been pointed out to us, so they're not in our perception. But if somebody were to come along and say, hey, here's such and such, it was there all the time, holy crap. And very well, this could be a matter of our limited range of perception until something is pointed out to us, which could mean there could be a whole lot of all kinds of crazy things out there that we just have no reason to notice until they're pointed out to us.
Right. I would love it, which is why I talk about this. I read about these subjects. I do the investigations because I said this on a show the other night, who wouldn't want to know if all this was real or outright fake? Because I can't deny, I can't necessarily just throw away everything, because some locations, it's in their entire history, 300, 400, 500 years of history. Yeah. And people that did not know the history of these places have gone there and experienced the same things and found out about the place afterwards. And it's like, okay, sweet. That's one form of evidence. History is a form of evidence. And so I guess you could say, I'm like Fox Boulder, I want to believe.
Well, I think in those situations, you almost have to, because a variety of different kinds of people with their own consciousness and their own perception of the world are having the same exact experiences, whether they knew about what the history, like, in the book, what really fascinated me, I love castles. I just love them to begin with. But the haunted castles, they have so much history. Oh, my Lord. that alone was mind-blowing, reading about the history of some of the castles in Scotland and Austria and Romania and whatever. But so you have a lot of castles that are open for tours. You can stay overnight. They have a lot of tourist stuff going on. And people may or may not know the exact entire history, but they're having experiences left and right, which, that means something to me.
Mhm.
That means, that's a hot spot.
Something's going on.
But yeah, but what bugs me is this weird belief that a lot of people in the paranormal field have, that just because a building is old or abandoned, it is automatically haunted. Automatically.
Yeah,
No questions asked.
absolutely
Oh,
not.
let's go investigate the old abandoned schoolhouse. Let's go investigate. It's like not everything necessarily. And then again, if these ghosts are everywhere, then they're everywhere. But if you're going on history and the idea, the knowledge that 25 people were killed here, or 60 people during the witch trials were executed in this dungeon, but just you walk around the neighborhood and see a house that's boarded up, it's been abandoned, it doesn't mean that it's haunted.
Yep, and a lot of these guys are just going out and going through these things, and half of them aren't asking permission to do it.
Yeah.
And
And they go to the same locations over and over again. I wish they would find some new ones.
I,
I'm going to complain about the TV shows.
yeah, Penn State, and you got Waverly, and all these. I mean, some of these places are very active, according to TV.
Have you been to a lot of them?
No, I haven't been to a lot of them. I've visited because I've traveled all 48 states in the continental U.S. So
Oh, fun. I've always wanted to do that.
and on my travels, I like to stop at historic locations, and I've looked at places like that, Waverly, and all these places. If I had mad billionaire money, I mean, I would spend the rest of till I retire or whatever, just going to all these
Right.
different
Yeah.
locations just for the hell of it. But to get into a lot of these places, it's waiting lists now.
Yeah.
You have to fork over a bunch of money. Hell, I can tell you right now, if I had $10 million, I'd buy the Amityville house. I'm sure they'd sell it for that.
Oh, creepy.
They only paid $5 million for it.
Yeah, that's creepy. But what's weird is that there are so many little haunted highways and byways and
Oh yeah,
tunnels and mines and bridges and caves and libraries and museums that
you mentioned one, the White Lady.
yeah,
There's a white.
urban legends
I think there's a
too.
White Lady legend in almost every state.
Yeah, exactly. There's something really symbolic
You got
about
your Red
that.
Lady and then your White Lady legends.
Yeah, it's
And
very symbolic. I
and
love urban legends too because
oh,
urban legends really have a core of truth. They
mhm,
may have been embellished, and so what I love about it is that trying to get to the core, the actual real story of what happened,
yeah,
which really legend and lore and folklore are all the same. They're based on actual people, actual events that have just been embellished and added upon, and you know kind of like that game operator. Everything has
yeah.
been changed by each
Well,
new
I can
person.
guarantee you, I can give you an urban legend right now, and I can almost guarantee you will tell me that there is a similar urban legend in your area.
Oh, no, probably.
Let's see. Uh, if you go to a railroad, a particular railroad track in town, and you park on the track at midnight, and somebody will push your vehicle off of the track.
Yep, yep, yep.
You heard this? Okay, that's almost in every state I've been to.
Isn't that weird?
I really enjoy talking to people about it. I'm always asking, hey, what any urban legends, scary things happen around this area? And they're like, oh yeah, this and this. And I'm like, wow, we got one of those too.
It's almost like they're archetypal, like they're symbolic. There's a universal quality to them. Um, the child crying under the bridge, and the white lady that's crying and wandering through the woods, and
mm-hmm.
yeah,
Now,
that's really
here's my
weird.
question though on this. I posed this question a while back, and you might actually might make you go too. Uh, a lot of these legends that are in these areas, could it be that we're creating them, sort of like a tulpa?
I love that. Probably, I believe in the power of the collective consciousness to actually manifest a reality, especially if it's driven by fear, because fear
Hmm.
is so powerful. It's such a powerful emotion. But I also, so like years and years ago, I thought, isn't it weird how paranormal stuff is like contagious, like getting a flu? It's like contagion. So you have a particular, and even UFO sightings to an extent, you have a particular ghost report that somebody made, and all of a sudden now you're hearing 20, 30 others. And urban legends seem to be that way too. It's like every little community almost has the same mindset about what they're afraid of. Like, we don't like bridges, we don't tunnels. Oh, hell no.
Especially if it's got three
Mines,
hugs painted on it.
yeah, covered bridges, train tracks. So it's like we're all sort of maybe out of our collective fear and uncertainty and discomfort around these locations, creating just like the Slender Man and the Rake.
Yeah.
These are things that were created on the internet that didn't even exist, and yet you'll hear people actually report sightings.
Yeah, or
So
the stick
folklore.
men.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell? You do know that's fake. No, no,
Yeah,
no, no. We saw it. We saw it. I'm thinking, well, maybe, damn, maybe you did.
yeah, because the Slender Man myth is only what, about 10 years old,
Yeah,
and I know
yeah.
the stick man is something that's really recently new. Yet I'm hearing of people seeing this stick man persona all over the world.
Yeah, all these tapes that are the videos that are coming through of it, and like my son's like, "Oh, mom, I'm pretty sure that's doctored or whatever." But I don't know. Some of the tapes looked pretty clean that I've
Yeah,
seen, and so maybe we do have these sort of collective critters or beings that somebody says they see, and it just like infects the minds of other people. And now we got social networking and YouTube, and everybody has a cell phone, and so maybe we are creating a lot of this stuff because it does seem to change. And what was popular 10 years ago, now it's shifted into something else, although
yeah,
Bigfoot really does stand the test of time.
yes. Well,
He
Patterson
does
Gimlin kind of put that on the map for us.
stand the test of time, damn it. But I love urban legends because I love trying to dig and see, well, what is the real story behind this?
Hmm.
Oh, there really was a person. Well, maybe he didn't, go around wearing clown makeup and killing old ladies, but he killed one old lady wearing clown makeup. And then you can kind of see how we create stories out of events that just explode, um, and take on a life of their own. But are they also taking on an actual physical manifestation of their own?
Yeah,
Totally think that's possible.
yeah, and
Oh,
it's,
back to Rosemary Ellen Guiley. She wrote about the jinn,
oh
and
yeah.
there was a type of tulpa. I forgot the name of it, like a Middle Eastern type of tulpa too. So it's
Oh,
like every different society or culture has some kind of thought form entity.
hmm.
Why is
Well, you've got the tulpa, and then you've got in the Jewish tradition the golem, which is,
Yeah, there's like a different name.
yeah, it's just a different name for the different things. We've got the jinn, and then we've got in other pantheons they're known as the tricksters, and it, I think it's fascinating to delve into the history behind these things. And like you said though, but actually looking in your area, if you've got an urban legend like that, well, you find out, hey, maybe there was somebody. Uh, I know we had a white lady legend up where I lived up in East Texas, suppose it, and it's almost always identical. The lady was left at the altar on her wedding day and decided to jump
Yeah.
off the bridge or something, and we looked into it. Sure enough, that actually did happen there. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, that's where this white lady came from. But I can drive over to Oregon And they're going to have a white lady legend for almost every town there too.
Isn't that wild? I love it. I love it.
And I can almost guarantee you, I could come to your house if I walked into your house for the first time and you didn't know me, and I walked in and told you your house is haunted, you would start to have experiences.
Oh, probably. Because the power of suggestion is so strong.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's all it takes to it's almost like you're giving yourself permission to perceive things that maybe you were resisting or you kind of closed your mind off to. It's like closing the door and not wanting to open it. My sister lives next door to me. They have a ghost, and her husband was just like the most skeptic you could ever imagine meeting, a just absolute skeptic. And he experienced it a couple of times to the point where they talk about it now very casually. And it was the man who lived there before. And they've seen him in the mirror. And they hear he loved golf. 2 o'clock in the morning, we often hear somebody on the golf course hitting the golf ball. You go out and look, because I can go look right out my back patio. There's nobody there. So yeah, I mean, so when you put yourself in that sort of suggestive state, absolutely, if you were to say, somebody died in this bathroom, I'd probably go in there and look in the mirror and see something. And it's just the power of my own mind wanting to make that a reality.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe with the white lady, I don't know. It's weird. It's like, what is it about that particular symbol of a mourning, crying, grieving woman in white that resonates with people all over the country, maybe even the world, that we all see? We have physical manifestations of this. And what else is out there that we do the same thing? The hairy beasts, the Bigfoot types, and maybe even aliens, the Greys, who knows?
You got the Yowie, you got the skunk ape. It's basically all the same thing. It's just changes variances just a little bit depending on the geographic location.
You know what I've been hearing lately more, which totally blew my mind, are reports. And actually, I went to lunch with a friend who, Sally Richards, you may or may not know her. She's big in the paranormal field too. And she was telling me about Thunderbird sightings and Mothman type sightings. Down at the border, there's a road that she and her team actually drove along once because it's notorious for not the usual stuff, very anomalous stuff. And I said, oh, damn it, I wish I would have known. I would have put it in the book.
Well, so Jim just did an interview with somebody.
Yeah. And
okay,
it's
Jim,
so anyway.
I just heard your show on mine.
There were a couple of kids, young guys or couples or something, that saw this dark figure like at a power plant. And Mothman was often seen at the power plant in Point Pleasant. And as they approached it, it just sort of dissipated into nothingness. And I thought, oh my God, does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
And it's like, and then the Thunderbird reports that are coming out of the desert here, it's like, holy crap.
But not just out of the desert, but up in Illinois, they're seeing these things.
What's going on? What's going on? Is it that the internet and social networking is spreading these stories so that more of us think that's what we're seeing, or we're manifesting it? Or is it just this stuff is really spreading and now we have the means to share this, what we're seeing, more than we did before? Which one is it?
I guess that's going to always be the question. Was it always there? And it's just because, I mean, you think about it with the way people talk about social media all the time. Oh, well, it wasn't like that in my day. Yeah, it was. You just didn't have a way to tell everybody.
Yeah. Well, you use the telephone or the newspaper, or, you wrote a book.
Yeah, it's just now with this new technology, we're just able to share something. I mean, hell, I can go outside and I captured a picture of a bald eagle sitting on a telephone pole outside my house.
Yeah.
I posted it to social media. Hundreds of people knew I had a bald eagle sitting on my telephone pole.
Right. Exactly.
Before, I would have to write a letter to somebody going, hey, you know, the other day I saw this eagle sitting on a telephone pole.
Yeah. Or you just go out and tell your neighbors, and then they tell their, and it kind of
Yeah.
slowly spreads that way. But with the anomalous stuff, it is kind of fun that we can talk about things that are going on, and then you hear from people in other states, in other countries, that are saying the same thing, or they have pictures, they have video. You realize this isn't just something that's localized, happening in my own little neighborhood. And that makes me want, like, to me, ghosts are the least interesting aspect of the paranormal, just because they've been around for so long. We've been
We've been talking
investigating
about
ghosts
ghost stories since man started
yeah,
recording history.
exactly. Since our campfire primitive days. But these creatures, where the hell are they coming from? Because you'll hear people say, they just appeared before our eyes, and then they disappeared right before our eyes, almost like they're interdimensional. I think that is the new big, and I think it's been leading up to that. There have been people, Jacques Foley, and a lot of people that have talked about interdimensional entities, but yeah, exactly. Hello. But now it seems like that's where the door is, the doors, maybe.
Yeah. Well, and see, and I posed that question a few nights ago when I was talking to Robbie on my show, and because he's a Bigfoot fan, big time fan of Bigfoot. And I asked him, I said, because he was like, well, what about this and this? And I said, and I posed the Tulpa effect. Are we creating these? Or what if the string theory that we have, the multiverse theory, we got universes stacked and layered on top of each other, and there's a rip in one which allows us to see into the other, or like the time slips that people experience. Lots of very famous time slips. The pilot that was flying in before World War II, and he actually went over an airfield and saw aircraft that weren't even invented yet on this.
Oh, God, I love that stuff.
And it's really interesting. And I mean, it's like today, for me, it was like I had lost time. I didn't realize what was going on. I could have sworn today when I for some reason was doing something, and I looked up at the clock and I was thinking, all right, it's 2:45. I'm about to get this day rolling and get out of here, right? And I looked at the clock and it's 10:30. It's 10:30 in the morning. What the hell? So the rest of the day,
Time anomalies, right? Yeah. I mean, our perception of time is.
Well, and because of you, I keep seeing 11:11.
Hey, listen, the revised version comes out in November, so we'll have to talk about that. But you know what? Patterns, right? Aren't we always looking for patterns to make sense of all the chaos and craziness?
Oh, yeah, and I'm one of these people that carries a journal around with me everywhere I go, a little leather-bound journal, and I write these things down, like certain numbers. If I see certain numbers over and over and over again, I want to know, is there some significance to that number in my life right now? And like after reading your book, 11:11 Time Prompt Phenomenon, now every time I look at the damn clock, it's 11:11.
But look at how easy it is. It's like I programmed your mind.
Yes, you did.
Before you read the book, you didn't even notice it. Now you can't not notice it.
Thank you.
Is all this paranormal stuff always in front of us? But we just haven't noticed. We haven't made that shift yet. And then when we do, we're going to always see it. It's always going to be there. And I have always brought this point up. Maybe we're not meant to see it all the time, because we wouldn't be able to function if we did. Imagine if we were constantly interacting with ghosts and interdimensional beings and aliens, and we could see them everywhere. I wonder how many people would be able to really function in this one reality, to the point where you got to raise kids, and you have your job, and you got to feed yourself and clothe your
or would it just drive you to pure insanity?
Yeah.
I think back to that Yeah, I think back to that Michael J. Fox movie, Frighteners,
Yeah, with
where
the
he was
ghosts. Yeah.
continuously interacting with them constantly and everything, and he was popping pills trying to make them go away and stuff. Yeah.
Maybe we're not meant to. Maybe we're meant to get glimpses of it so that we can be aware that there's more than just, what the five senses perceive. But if we were to be exposed to it all the time, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that would be a good thing.
I'm not
I
sure
think
it'd be a good thing. I
we're
think it would
losing
be a
our
way
mind.
to gain some more interesting knowledge. I, for one, if I could figure out a way to hit myself on the head just right to where I could supposedly see everything, I would do it. Because
Dude, you got magic mushrooms, ayahuasca,
ladies and gentlemen, this is
peyote.
not the Joe Rogan show.
Oh my gosh. But I
Yeah.
mean, that's what's really interesting. They just last week I saw there was a definitive study done that proved that we have a minuscule amount of DMT in our
Mhm.
bodies, in the brain. So if DMT allows us to have those sort of rapturous experiences in a clinical laboratory setting, if we already have a little bit in our brains, possibly some paranormal activity could be that being triggered. Like,
Yeah.
but what is triggering it?
Well, they've already proven that they can actually induce these visions. The God helmet.
Yeah, deja vu, and yeah, the
And
God helmet, right?
yeah, and
But
deja
like,
vu, that's something I experience continuously. It's like, I know I just saw that, or
yep,
I know I just
yeah,
did that. So I'll actually jot it down real quick. At this time, at 11:11, I saw that.
at 11:11. Yeah, but what if you were constantly doing that? Don't you think you'd kind of start losing your mind? Like you wouldn't really be able to function well.
Well, no, I don't. I don't know if it would. I don't think
Maybe
I
not
would lose my
you,
mind because I
because
think at
you
that point it
are.
would become my norm. It wouldn't seem so out of place to me because I think with like the deja vu experience, you're actually maybe experiencing a loop. But if you can already have all these other senses and it can be experiencing everything as a whole, you probably wouldn't be having those loops because you'd be experiencing it in the now.
In the real time. Yeah, I think there's probably people that would love it, and probably a lot of people that just mentally would not be equipped, because you think about the fact that there are people that escape reality taking drugs or drinking too much or what have you, and that could become a form of escaping reality.
Hmm.
So you have to wonder if our brains were created or structured to make it difficult to sort of access other states of consciousness or whatever, because then we would not be able to function in the one that we're supposed to be. I always wondered if that was some kind of survival mechanism that was built into human beings.
Yeah, something we adapted throughout our evolution.
Yeah, but whatever it is that created us still wants us to know there's all this other stuff going on,
Yeah.
which drives us crazy because we feel like, well, shit, we want to solve these mysteries. Come on.
Yep.
And I honestly don't think, how many years have like spiritualists been around, investigating and researching ghosts and spirits? Have we solved anything?
No,
No.
we haven't solved a damn thing,
Yeah,
which is why I get a kick out of listening to a lot of people that are. I enjoy listening to skeptical topics. One of my favorite podcasts is the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe. Uh,
oh, how funny.
and it's with Dr. Steve Novella. He's a surgeon. He's a doctor, and they go into talking about a lot of this stuff, and they don't like the paranormal at all. And he flat out said, "Look, if there was evidence for it, you'd think after 200 years we'd have something."
We do, though. It's just all subjective.
Or anecdotal or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, but they don't. That's not considered hard evidence based on the scientific theory.
But I told you my dad was a geophysicist. A lot of his colleagues, they were physicists and astrophysicists and astronomers. And when I was little, they used to, a group of his colleagues from Lamont Doherty Laboratory Observatory, where he worked, would come sit in our kitchen and drink beer and smoke cigarettes and play cards, sit around our little kitchen table, and I would kind of sit down on my dad's feet, and they would talk about UFOs.
Hmm.
These are professional, men of science. And my dad told me much later that you didn't talk about it on the job, quote unquote. You talked about it when you were at the barbecues or over each other's houses. And but he said, but these men all believed, but they wanted to know the mechanisms behind it. They wanted to know the science behind the paranormal. And I remember a long time ago, before my dad died, saying, that the scientific method had its limitations, especially when dealing with subjective, anecdotal, non-empirical experiences. You can't say they don't exist just because the scientific method couldn't prove them. That was ridiculous.
I've had a few people that were like, well, EVPs are bunk and this and that. And I'm like, okay, look, I'm going to send you a video. Can you explain this video? Because I've gone over it 100 times. I said, if you want, I will send you the tape it was recorded on.
Yeah, or have them do one.
Well, and this one right here, that's a Class A. That's probably one of the best pieces I've ever caught on a tape. And I have the tape, and I showed the whole process. I said, look, it was a brand new tape. There's nothing else on that tape, just this.
Yeah.
It wasn't because like I recorded over something in mask and you got a masking effect. I said these were anytime I do an investigation, hell, I've got brand new tapes still sitting here in the packages. That's what I use when I use that camera. Tapes are getting harder and harder to find though.
Yeah, no kidding, huh?
But it's like I do that simply because I don't want to taint anything. That cuts out that I'm cutting out some of the variables when I do things like that.
Yeah.
And so now I'm stuck with a video of me and two other guys, and there is clearly a woman talking to us. So
I think that people change. Yeah, I mean, I think the only way that you win over a skeptic is when you somehow encourage them to do an experiment for themselves, and they see or hear something that convinces.
I don't even think that would totally do it. Somebody who is so diehard stuck on skeptical mindset, because Michael Shermer had an experience. You know who he is? Right?
Oh yeah.
He had an experience. A couple years later, he was like, nah, that experience just trick of the mind. It's
weird. Yeah, they go into complete denial, which doesn't really do the field of study any good, because it's like the other extreme. The one extreme of the people that believe that everything is paranormal, and then at the other extreme, you've got people that believe nothing is. Neither one of those extremes helps.
Nope. Let's kind of meet in the middle and let's look at the evidence. So that's kind of where I'm at. Well, since we're talking about ghosts and stuff, let's talk about your celebrity ghost. And we get sidetracked all the time.
Okay, so yeah, this thing is filled with celebrities like Marilyn Monroe and Dorothy Dandridge and James Dean. And what's really weird? So there's a lot of stories of celebrities, Elvis being one of the big ones, that are seen and reported at some of their favorite places, either their former homes or the studio where they did their best movies. On occasion, their mausoleums, and that's a whole other area of question that bugs the crap out of me, is why would a ghost haunt the place where its body's buried instead of the place that it liked the best, or even where it died. But one of the most interesting things that came up is that some of these, particularly Marilyn Monroe and Elvis, their ghosts have been reported at numerous different locations at the same time by people. Like somebody will say that they saw Elvis's ghost in Nashville at the fast food restaurant he liked to eat at. At the same time, other people are reported seeing his ghost near the studio that he recorded his, greatest hits in or whatever. And it got me wondering how people are seeing the ghosts of these celebrities and even historical figures in different locations at the same time. What do they have? Clones? Are there clone ghosts?
I have an answer.
Answer me, please.
Elvis impersonators that have died.
Oh no! Oh my God! Wouldn't that be funny?
That would be weird.
They're seeing the ghosts of Elvis impersonators. Oh my God!
You're gonna have to do a whole new chapter.
That actually makes a better explanation than some.
When you think about it, these guys that are Elvis impersonators, they're fanatics about Elvis. They live their life as Elvis.
I honestly wish I would have asked you that first. I would have thrown that in there.
If
But
I'd have
that's,
known well, you did ask me a couple of questions, and I was like, well, I don't have anything for you. If I'd have known you were writing about Elvis, I'd have said that.
Not really, geez. But it's the same with historical ghosts, that they mostly show up at the White House, the Capitol building, the White House. But then you'll also hear people say, well, they've appeared in their former homes and at their favorite cigar shop or whatever, but almost at the same time. And also it makes me feel like, well, okay, so ghosts definitely travel, right? If they were like imprints, you're going to see the same thing at the same place over and over again.
Gettysburg.
Right. But if you're seeing the ghost of, I don't know, let's say James Cagney, and you're seeing it in 5 or 6 different places, that ghost has the ability to travel. And it has the ability to travel to places in our dimension, just as if it were alive.
Yeah.
And that kind of freaked me out.
Well, I think with our brain, we try to put constraints on the paranormal. It's just like when I did that experiment with the Ouija board. Everybody's like, well, it's not going to work if you're not touching it. Why? Why won't it work if I'm not touching it? Why can't the simple fact that you're going to ask it questions online from 1,000 miles away, why can't it understand you?
Exactly.
And move itself? Because we've heard so many stories of Ouija boards moving on their own. I said, so I'm eliminating the one variable I know I can eliminate.
Right. What is that word that described the,
intentionality?
You have to eliminate that. Otherwise, that's your explanation for why the planchette or whatever is moving.
Exactly.
If your hands are up here, though, that eliminates that possibility. Then there's something else going on.
Yeah, or if I'm not even in the room, I'm in a locked room. It's in a locked room by itself, and I'm in another room asking it questions via the internet.
Yeah.
So that was the experiment. I ran it for 2 hours. Like I said, lots of I can play the Facebook video back and listen to it, and there's all kinds of crap going on. For an office that's got soundproofing up everywhere, you would think that this would be a relatively quiet room. This was a very noisy room that night.
And that's another thing, right? Our human range of hearing is so limited. I remember experiments that Larry Flaxman did with his group, Our Past, in Arkansas, with EVP, where they came to the conclusion that right before you hear a voice, there's sort of a static pop. I don't know if you've ever heard it.
Yeah, I have.
But they did over and over, and they kept hearing this weird sort of static pop right before and then right after. Like something was coming through a doorway, an energetic doorway, making itself heard and then going back through. So, that sort of that room noise that you're hearing could be the stuff that's trying to come through, working with the energy in the room, or you normally aren't going to hear that. It's beyond the range unless you've got really killer headphones or noise
I think
reduction.
the only way I could hear it was I had headphones on and I had them cranked all the way up.
Yeah.
You could hear what was going on.
That's crazy. It makes you wonder.
Noises I was able to debunk immediately, and I even typed it in the chat thing. I said, okay, I know what that noise is right there. That's a train going by down the road.
Right.
And because I'm familiar with that sound, or like, hey, or I would tell somebody, because they would be, oh, did you hear that? And I'm like, that was my dog.
Right, or your neighbor shutting a door.
I don't have neighbors.
Oh,
I live 35 miles from town.
The ghost in the other room shutting a door. But yeah, once you eliminate the obvious.
And some of the noises that my camera did pick up, that because all those other noises that I can't explain, my cameras, none of the cameras that I had mounted picked up any of that. The Facebook video did, though. That's what's weird.
Yeah.
But a couple of the sounds that were actually caught on the camera, I was able to identify. And this is where the skeptical part of me, I'm trying to figure it out. I have an air conditioner vent in this room. It's up in the roof right over here. And where I was sitting at in the other room, I realized there was an air conditioner vent right above me.
Yeah.
I think whatever it was, because I was like, because I heard something on the video and I was like, well, let me amp that up a little bit where I could hear it. And next thing I know, I'm hearing my voice. It was echoing through the ventilation.
Hey, wait a minute. That sounds familiar.
So,
oh, that's me.
like, ooh, I'm haunting me.
But it's funny because there are people out there that would hear that stuff and automatically say, oh my God, we're hearing the spirits.
Yeah.
And they don't want to have to come to admit that maybe that's not what's happening at all.
Yeah.
They just want to believe.
What were some of the locations that you looked at? You there?
Oh, would you?
Oh, yeah. What were some of the locations that you looked at? The Notorious Hauntings.
That actually ended up being the bigger part of the book because there's so many, and I categorized everything because I was starting to go crazy with everything from, breweries. So, the usual suspects are in here. Like here in San Diego, we have the Whaley House and Hotel del Coronado.
Oh,
I've been to the Whaley House several times. Nothing's ever happened. And so I had to categorize into things like motels and hotels. Did
you do the Driscoll?
The Clown Motel, one of my favorite, which I haven't been to.
Did you do the Driscoll Hotel in Austin?
Which hotel?
The Driscoll.
Oh yeah, that's in here. Everything.
I stayed at the Driscoll.
Yeah? Did something happen or?
Nope. I actually stayed in the suite where everything's supposed to happen.
So see, you're like me, you're.
Yeah, it was so funny because my wife was like, we were going. It was not our honeymoon, our anniversary a couple of years ago, and I said, oh, we're gonna go on a little trip. Her and I went up to Fredericksburg area and stayed in Fredericksburg for a couple of days. Then we drove down to Austin. She's like, well, where are we gonna stay at in Austin? I said, I've already got us a room. She goes, where? I said, at the Driscoll. And she, oh, that sounds nice. And my kids, when I told them I was reserving the room, they went, Dad, you're taking Mom there?
Oh no.
And I went, yeah. And then, does she know? And I went, and she will not know.
Oh, how funny.
So I stayed at the Driscoll, and she didn't find out until the day we checked in that this was supposedly one of the most haunted hotels in Texas.
And that's another thing, there's so many, and I had to leave out quite a bit, or this book would have been huge.
Oh, it'd have been like an encyclopedia.
The Crescent Hotel, which I know a lot of people have been to the Crescent Hotel in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, and had tons of experiences with seeing human and animal ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
New Orleans has several hotels just in one little area that are supposedly haunted. There's so many opera houses and theaters. So all of that was very fascinating. But what really got to me was when I started getting into things like tunnels, bridges. There are a number of suicide bridges all over the country where, obviously people have jumped off or tried to commit suicide that are supposed to be haunted and are very, very creepy. Haunted air crash locations and sites. Those are really creepy because they're very, very active, which brings up another thing that really bugs me about all of this. If you are a ghost, would you stay at the point of extreme trauma or death, or would you not want to break free of that and go? You'll hear about a lot of stories and hear about ghosts that haunt their favorite places,
Mm-hmm.
a record store, a restaurant, a cigar shop, a bar. But then you hear about ghosts that haunt graveyards and the place where, the train accident that they died in or a car accident. And I always wonder, what is the reason for staying at such a traumatic place if you are
or is it
free?
even really the ghost? Could it be an imprint like the stone tape theory? Because
I mean, it would
happened in
have to be.
Gettysburg.
Yeah.
Because I know for a fact, I can tell you right now, I'm alive. If I died right this minute, and hey, holy crap, I'm a ghost. This is real.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
The
stick
shock
around.
of that.
I'll stick around for a little while, maybe haunt my wife and kids a little bit, let them know I'm around. But but personally, I'm gonna
Yeah.
go. I'm gonna go and explore the world.
Yeah.
I'm-
Yeah.
I've got an eons now to do this.
Right. So it seems like there's different types of ghosts that we're dealing with. The imprint stays put, repeats the same behavior. It's like on a loop. It's
Mm-hmm.
predictable. It's a pattern. It's trapped. It's trapped emotional energy that for some reason appears as a physical form. And then
It
you've
may not
got the ghosts that
necessarily be an entity itself. It's just energy.
yeah, and then you've got the ghosts that are just roaming around freely. But it also really bothered me that ghosts are often reported at graveyards because that's not where they died. That's where they're buried. Their bodies are buried, and that never made any sense to me. I felt like, well, if it's an imprint, the graveyard is not the place where the trauma occurred. That would be probably a hospital. Yet you don't hear about as many haunted hospitals as you do graveyards.
Oh, we've got one here in Texas.
Wouldn't you think every hospital would be
You would think.
haunted to the hilt?
You would think, because on average, how many
Hospices.
people die per day in a hospital?
Yeah. So why are ghosts seen at the place where the body is buried if the essence, the spirit, whatever the heck it is has already been separated from the body at another location? And that always kind of like, oh, they missed their body. Oh, please, come on.
Or then
I
again,
don't
we can start
understand
looking at
that.
the attachment to
The
that
physical,
to the physical,
not wanting
or
to believe.
or to an object. You think
Yeah,
a lot of these hauntings that I've read about that are real popular graveyard hauntings have to do with somebody who lived an extreme life, like a gunslinger or something, and their energy could have imprinted on the guns that they used to commit these murders and stuff like that, and they were buried with their guns.
that's interesting. I never thought about it that way.
I mean, it's just like the
Yeah.
imprint of somebody who may have died sitting in their favorite rocking chair that they've been sitting in for 35 years. You sell
Right.
the rocking chair to somebody else, now they're having the haunting.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just an energy
That
imprint.
I can see the ghost wanting to stay with a favorite object.
Yeah, and you think about it,
And,
a gunslinger lived by his gun.
right.
That was his favorite object. And the
Yeah.
reason I mentioned gunslinger is because there's a cemetery just on the outskirts of Corpus Christi, Texas, that I grew up by. And there's two gunslingers that were actually shot down, and that's where they were buried. They were outlaws, Texas outlaws, and they were shot. And that is an extremely, you see things in that graveyard at night. I was actually brave enough. I used to go down to ride my bike down to it at night just to watch and see if I could see something. I went there one night in a vehicle, and when I got back into the vehicle, for some reason my radio wouldn't stay tuned. It was like it almost became a shack hack. It just was like scrolling through the stations
So
until
it's
I
like
got,
a super active energy
yeah.
site,
So
kind
it's
of
like,
like Gettysburg. You
yeah, and
just
it's like,
Gettysburg
so
seems to be just
maybe that would explain why some of these hauntings are happening at cemeteries. Maybe there's something in that grave that that particular entity may have been attached to. Or maybe it's not the entity itself, or it's just an energy signature replaying itself that's attached to an item that is in that grave. Because a lot of
Yeah.
people get buried with their precious items.
Right. A necklace or a ring or
An old
something.
family Bible or something like that.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, there's the church, a lot of haunted churches too, and it's funny because you don't think of churches as places where people actually die, but I can see churches being a place of comfort for the dead to go to, where they feel safe as they might have in life.
Yeah.
But yeah, it always bothered me, the graveyard cemetery things. I thought, well, that's not where they died. So if we're talking about the point of trauma where the body and the spirit are separated, you know, why do we not hear that every hospital, every hospice facility is just crawling? And maybe they are, but they just don't make it public.
True.
Yeah, but I just love, my absolute favorite section though is the haunted castles, because like, oh, and the asylums and things like that, where they just, I hate to sound so morbid, but you know, with the asylums and the mental hospitals and the sanatoriums where so many people suffered, and you have that collective death energy. Okay, that I get, you know, it isn't just one person or one death. It's so much trauma and suffering that you can't imagine that energy can just cease to exist. It has to, you know, it has to change and shift and become something else. And those places I think I would stay out of. But the haunted castles to me were the most fascinating just because of the history. Some of them going back, you know, to 11th, 12th century, and packing so much history into their walls. Some of them in such disarray and crumbling from the elements, and others are so well preserved. I would love to take the time to go on a tour of the just in Austria, the haunted castles.
Oh man, some of those.
Oh my God, they're associated with the Nazis and the occult and the witch trials, and holy crap.
Yeah, I've read about some of the stuff that the Nazis did in the occult in some of these locations, and it's like where these guys were literally, I think, trying to open portals.
Yes, I think it's pronounced Huska or Hauska Castle in Austria. And my friend, well, Denise Agnew, who's my writing partner, said you got to check out this castle. And it's in the Czech Republic actually. It came, for some reason the Nazis decided to kind of overtake it and do all their occult experimentation down in the dungeon. So Hitler, you know, he was obsessed with the occult. We all know that, but they took the place over and they would perform all kinds of bizarre occult experiments, and they found all kinds of bones and animal entrails and bodies and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, so I think that was supposed to be one of the places where the portal to hell existed, or whatever they were trying to open the portal to. And a lot of tunnels, man-made and natural, that people thought were gateways to the underworld. You know, there's one in China, and they're kind of spread out all over. Not all over man-made.
That one forest
in
China.
Caves and tunnels. Oh, the suicide one?
Yeah,
or is that Japan?
Forest? Was that in China or is that Thailand?
I think I thought it was Japan, or
yeah, maybe Japan.
Yeah, creepy.
And
so those places,
it's like Bobby Mackey's.
Yeah, that's a really active place too, and it's like a big bar.
Well, like the well that's under it. That's where all the activities centered around.
Yeah,
I've
never been there.
Yeah, I know Nick just spent he spent like 3 days on one of his new project that he's doing for Travel Channel. Uh,
Uh-huh.
he actually spent like camped out in the basement at the well for 3 days.
Oh God, I would never do that. I'm sorry, I'm not that crazy. I'll let other people go check it out.
Come back to
Except
me
for
with
the
your
candles.
findings.
I think that I could handle. If I were with a group of people, I would never go by myself.
Well, I can tell you, I spent 3 days at the Driscoll Hotel in supposedly one of the most haunted rooms in that hotel.
And you lived. You survived to tell
I
about it.
I had no issues whatsoever. I even took pictures. I posted them all online of me sitting in the copper room and the big portrait that's hanging up at the front of the staircase. Uh, all kinds of stuff. I went through the whole hotel, and I had a blast there. Not a single
Yeah.
experience, but
I think just the historical aspect of a lot of these buildings is fascinating.
oh
And
yeah,
I like a lot of the haunted hotels now. Like I know the Crescent in Arkansas, they have tours. They have people that dress up like an 1800s garb, and they have the hotel all preserved with the decor and the furniture. And so even if you don't have anything happen, I think you still kind of get the feel of what it was like.
now, I'm going to pose another question to you.
Uh-oh.
You've got these hotels that are doing that, where their people are dressing in period clothing, and you're going there as a tourist to just experience it. You know, it's supposedly a haunted hotel, and all these people are in period clothing and they're acting the parts.
Yep.
You know, you're not actually interacting with one of the ghosts.
Well,
New book.
let's see.
New book.
Yeah, wouldn't that be funny? That sounds like a good horror movie.
Oh
Like
yeah.
they bunch of college kids go on a tour of a haunted hotel, and
I'm writing this down.
hosts, yeah, their hosts are all dressed for the time period, and turns out they're all dead. Isn't The Shining has a little bit of that element in it? But
Yeah,
even like the Stanley and all these big giant hotels.
it's my story. I
I know
claimed it.
gone. I know so many people that have gone and had no experiences whatsoever, and I have the people that say every time they go, they have
Yeah.
something happen.
And
So
sometimes some of those
who
people
knows?
are kind of, yeah, but did you?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Or did you just want to so badly? Because I
Yeah.
think there is such a strong desire to want to experience something that
Oh,
you
especially if you visit someplace like the Queen Mary. Why are you going there if that's not what you're going there for?
exactly,
I mean, you go.
exactly.
I mean, they put Ouija boards in your room for you.
It's a really really cool. Like I would advise everybody to go there just for a day and walk around. I mean, the ship is just magnificent, but in the middle of the night, I will say I did not enjoy walking down the long, skinny,
Those
wood
skinny
paneled
corridors.
hallway to my room. And you get this heightened sense of fear. And you're looking over your shoulder and you're kind of picking up your step and trying to open the door lock and get in, and then you're looking around your room. Like, I want to make sure there's nothing in here. So just that expectation, even for a grown adult, can be really, really creepy.
Yes, it can. And I've experienced it too. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I've gone to locations where it's like this place is freaking creepy, and just whoop, what was
Yeah.
that? But it's. I think we as human beings don't we underestimate what our mind is capable of doing.
Oh, yeah, I agree. And I think we block so much. We don't even know that we're blocking particular experiment or experiences. It's all internal, subconscious stuff. Fears from our childhood could even be blocking us from having an experience that we think
Hmm.
would be so terrifying.
Yeah.
Like in the alien UFO aspect, excuse me, that's where I really want something to happen. All my life have had recurring dreams and almost experiences and just an obsession. I was obsessed with UFOs when I was 3 years old.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know. I've had missing time. That's where I would really, really want a direct, in-your-face experience that I could not explain away any
Yeah.
other way. And I haven't had it, but I've had subjective things up the butt. You know? So yeah, who knows? And then there's people that claim they see UFOs every day.
Yeah.
Well, I don't.
I saw one strange light that we could not explain that was hovering in our pasture behind our house, and it shot off into the sky, and that was the only thing I can explain. And I said, "Okay, UFO," and they were like, "Oh, you think it was alien?" I said, "No. What is the
A
definition of
UFO,
UFO?
yeah.
Unidentified. I couldn't identify.
Yep.
I don't know what it is.
It was flying and it was an object.
It was flying. It was an object, and it hauled ass out of here." So,
Yeah.
and then I did an investigation. I helped MUFON with one investigation that happened close to where I live. The family actually came to me first because they knew I was into all this and stuff, and told me about the experience. And then I was like, okay, no. I need the actual witnesses to write everything down right now. Write it down before they forget it. And because the memory can do all kinds of crap.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
so they wrote it down. Come to find out, there was another witness. We were not able to track that witness down. It was somebody else that was actually, look at this damn moth flying around my office. This witness.
I thought it was a spirit.
No, it's a moth. I've got a moth that has been hanging out in here. It drives me nuts. It sets off my motion all the time. But he hauled butt out of there. They were like, he saw it too. He left. He left the girls behind. And so I did a bunch of investigating that night, went out to the location, looked, I called the airport. There was no aircraft in the air that night. I mean, that's pretty much as far as we can go with it. I mean, they saw it. They documented it. We looked at it. We tried to find evidence for it. Couldn't really find anything for it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem with UFO sightings is, you as the investigator, you're going in after the fact.
Yeah.
It's different if you go into a haunted location where you can possibly experience something in real time. But with UFOs, unless you're the witness, it's a done deal. And you're going to look for physical proof or, whatever.
Yeah.
But I had an experience like that a long, long time ago. I saw something. It was 4 lights. It was a solid object, and the 2 backlights flipped over the front, and it was just like a slinky, flipped end over end over end. And I knew, because I was in MUFON at the time, and I knew that that was nothing that we had. But it was far away enough where I didn't, go on the news and say, oh my God, I saw a UFO. I know. And some of it is the feeling you have. You just know you're seeing something that is wrong. It's off. I mean, I wasn't afraid, but I knew. And there were other people that had actually pulled over on the road and were looking at it too. But I've never been able to see anything really up close. So that would be for me.
Where's that place that I know Dave they did an episode, I believe it was an episode on Sci-Fi Channel, and Dave went with a bunch of people out to this location where supposedly any night you're out there, you'll see some sort of UFO activity. And
it gets up in Mount Shasta?
It's because he said because the UFOs in the sky, that wasn't the weird part. It was that big hominid thing that was in the woods behind them that freaked them out.
Huh. I know that there are a couple of places. There's ESETI Ranch,
I think
where people, is that it? Yeah, it's kind of like Skinwalker Ranch, where there's all kinds of craziness that happens. There's cryptids and UFOs and ghosts all, hanging out together.
Location I would love
to go. There's a guy that just leads tours up there, and he guarantees that you're going to see something.
No,
so maybe
Skinwalker Ranch is where I would love to go.
Oh my God, I would be terrified of that place. Yeah, that's one of the places that I I would have to go with 20, 30 people, and I'd still be afraid.
And you would be like, okay, you guys go in first.
But that's one of those unusual places where more than one thing is happening. You don't just have ghost sightings. You don't just have aliens. You don't just have a cryptid. You got everything, and which begs the question,
is that area in a portal?
Stuff attract? Yeah, I mean, are there like portals where all the crap comes through at once?
Or is it a point where two universes maybe have collided?
Yeah, and everything is there because we're so used to hearing about things being really compartmentalized. You got the ghost sightings here at this hotel, and Bigfoot is here in the woods here, and but rarely do you have all those things happening at the same time, except on these really wild locations. Like there's a canyon up in LA. Oh gosh, it's in the book. I forgot the name of it. Where there's a lot of umbrella activity, I guess you could call it. People see ghosts, they see weird lights, they see cryptids, they see UFOs and aliens and weird stick people. It's like, what the hell? Is it Party Central? It's like Grand Central Station for the paranormal. So there's like a handful of those places all throughout the country where all hell breaks loose.
Yeah. And
that would be really cool.
Those are the types of places I personally would really love to see. Well, Marie,
just alone.
We're running on an hour and 45 minutes now.
Oh wow! Okay.
So this, I know you've got things that you need to do, and maybe a TV show to watch tonight.
I'm gonna go pour a glass of wine.
I'm actually going to probably pour me a glass of wine too when we get done here, and maybe start watching Chernobyl.
Oh my God, it's amazing!
I haven't started watching it yet.
I won't give you any spoilers, but I will tell you it's one of the most powerful things I've ever seen.
Well, it's going to be kind of close to me because when I was in high school, you know how you would go to for a drama class and stuff, they make you do prose pieces or something like that.
Uh-huh.
You go and compete and read off your thing. Well, one of the things I did was where prior to going to it, you were given a topic that you had to do the research on, and then stand before the judges and present your research, reading it like you would a prose piece. Mine was on Chernobyl.
Oh my God! Oh, wait till you see it.
So it was really interesting, and I've been waiting to see that, and I've just been kind of
it's
trying to find the time to watch it. So
and it's only 5 episodes, so it won't take up too much of your time.
Well, I want you to tell everybody where they can get a hold of your book, because I know it's brand new, and also
it's actually out in September. So they don't go look tomorrow.
Okay, so we're still in the promote it stage.
We are, yeah. But actually, it's up for pre-order, so people can pre-order it. It will be available Amazon, Barnes and Noble, in brick and mortar and online bookstores. It's also on digital format, and at some point it will be audiobook as well.
Awesome. Yeah, because I like me some Audible books.
I don't commute, so I don't get to listen to anything.
I am constantly out doing something, so I'm either listening to a podcast or a book. And so I mean, also you've got 23 other books that people can look at too. We're talking.
They can.
You've got the 11/11 time pump phenomenon, the one that you just did with Larry Flaxman, Mind Wars. I believe, was that Mind Wars?
Yeah, I love that book. That's
and then,
wow. The disaster preparedness survival guide that I did, which I think everybody needs to own a copy of. Because it covers every part of the country and every possible major and minor disaster or emergency that you could think of.
Awesome.
So they're all on mariedjones.com, and I have some books coming out next year too. So there's always something going on.
And another one of my favorites, Viral Mythology.
I love that book. That book got so little attention. I honestly,
I rather enjoyed it.
I loved it. I'm proud of it.
And so you heard mariedjones.com. You can go check it out. You can pick up her other books, and Celebrity Ghosts and Notorious Hauntings will be out in September, as she said. And Marie, I just want to thank you for coming on the show tonight. And
Well, thank you.
It's been a blast. I always have a blast chatting with you.
Well, we'll do it again soon. I'm sure there'll be a whole lot more to talk about coming up. So
awesome. And now that you know that I've kind of got an idea on some of these things, you can kind of directly ask me a question.
I will. See, now I know you're going to be in my next book.
Well, you were asking us as a group certain questions.
I like to do that. Yeah. I don't know
if I really have anything to offer on that, so I just didn't say anything.
Yeah. I like to get a lot of different perspectives and stories and stuff from people. So, but I promise I will
also,
next time.
Just to let everybody know, Marie is also one of my. She co-runs our little private cult that we have.
We need to really pay more attention to the cult, though. It's not been thriving very well.
Well, I missed you last Friday at the meeting.
Yeah, I got to get to more meetings.
Taco Tuesday.
And on that note, oh, brother.
Inside joke, guys that are listening. With that, guys, I just want to thank, once again, I want to thank you, Marie, for coming onto the show. And,
thank you.
And to any of my listeners, if you need to get a hold of me, you can always reach me at stalkermailbox@gmail.com, or you can call into our hotline, which is 361-433-5739. And, for the After Dark series, I want you as my listeners to be able to participate in this. So call into that number. You can leave a message, 3 minutes long. Tell us your scary experience, your ghost experience, your Ouija board experience, doesn't matter. Or if you've had an experience at one of these haunted hotels that Marie talked about this evening, call in. Tell us about it. If it's longer than 3 minutes, call back in. I'll fix it in post so it's one whole story. And I just want to start getting you, my listeners, active. I've had several people write in with some really creepy stories. Screw the black-eyed kids. I had a listener call in with a black-eyed kid story, and I was like, oh, hell no.
Oh, no, we don't go there.
But, well, that is terrifying. I did a whole episode last week on the black-eyed kids because I got that email. I was like, well, crap, I got to do a whole episode. So I'm expecting some creepy-ass kid to show up on my porch.
That's the one urban legend I think that I would most not like to experience.
I told that to somebody, and he was like, he looked at the episode, and he's like, I don't even know if I want to listen to that. And I went,
yeah.
I said, yeah, you do. I said, yeah, you do. And he goes, well, I probably will listen to it. He said, well, I'm going to tell you right now, if some kid shows my porch, I'm going to punch him in the damn throat.
Just don't let them in. Don't invite them. That is really terrifying. The fact that so many people have claimed to have seen them, again, it's like, what are they?
And I had somebody ask me a question a couple of days ago. They said, well, what happens if you let them in? I said, we don't know.
Really? You want to find out?
And he was like, what do you mean we don't know? I said, there's never been anybody that has ever said they've let them in.
Yeah.
And if somebody has let them in, we've never heard from them again.
I thought I remember reading a case of an older man and woman who did, and how they were tormented, and they somehow got them out. But that's like the only time I've ever, and who knows if it was a real story.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one.
Don't go there.
But like you said, though, this was an urban legend, because this urban legend didn't even start until 1996 when a Texas journalist wrote about it in Abilene, Texas.
So at least it didn't start as fake lore on the internet, right? And some weird creepypasta. It was an actual.
It was a journalist in Abilene, Texas, wrote about an experience he had with these creepy ass kids.
Yeah.
And it took off from there. Now people are seeing the black-eyed kids worldwide. It's
creepy. So that could have been the moment or the year that they came through the door, so to speak. But, oh my God, yeah. And I think because we think of kids as being innocent, and if they need our help, we've got to help them. But, it kind of goes against your natural instinct to want to reach out and help a kid.
Yeah.
But hell no.
And everybody that's had an experience with them, they said that they've always said the same thing. It's our natural inclination to help them. They're a kid. They're in distress. But the minute that they see that kid, they get this uneasy feeling of doom and dread. Like, if they even let this kid in, I'm going to die.
And I guess they won't come in unless they're invited.
Which
right?
plays back into the vampire lore.
Yeah. So as long as you don't invite them in. Oh, God. Great. Now I'm going to be try and lock everything and don't answer the doorbell at 2 o'clock in the morning.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to, once again, we're going to thank Marie for coming on the show tonight. And we're gonna go ahead and wrap this episode up. This will be your Wednesday night after dark. So with that, guys, we are out of here.
Now, here comes the music.
We want to thank you for tuning in to the Anything Goes project. If you like this show, subscribe and share it. That would greatly help us out. To contact the show, email us at stalkermailbox@gmail.com. We love hearing from our subscribers and our listeners. The Anything Goes project can be found on iTunes, Castbox, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn, and many other Android applications. And once again, thanks for listening.